Hey Granny, I wondered if I can ask you to... Apple Bloom, what did I just tell you about bothering Granny? But I just want to ask her. Not today, Sugar Cube. Not today. Come on. It's about time you get a leg up on the chores. Aw, Applejack. Heh. Applejack does her best. She does. It ain't that easy to regain a filly like Apple Bloom, though. Once that whippersnapper gets something in her mind, she's a force to be reckoned with, no matter the consequences. Sure, any other day of the year, I'm happy to lend a hoof or an ear, but not today. You know, it's a funny thing being an old gray mare. You forget silly things, like what kind of apple jam you had for breakfast, or the name of that strange orange youngin' that follows whippersnapper around, Chicken Lou? Something like that. But you think about the past years, and it comes with a crystal clarity. Every pony knows the story of how me and my family started near the town in Ponyville. We were heralded as heroes back in the day for our zap apples and the jam they made. You could say I was something of a celebrity back then. You should have seen the way my puffed out his chest and told the story of my discovery. That's my daughter, he say. Probably the proudest moment of my young life. Of course, you can't live forever on fame, not when there's work to be done. It did give the Apple family their chance in the spotlight, though. Pretty soon all the high-flalutin ponies recognized us as a valuable family, because we had something they wanted. We had every pony opportunity knocking at our door, but one of my pa decided to answer it by the name of Orange. Now, it's no secret that the fruit families don't rightly get along so much. Too much of a competition, you see. But back then, we apples knew how to play the game. You had to pretend to be nice, civil, and the like. Since though a lot of those families had good farmland and resources up for grabs, it weren't for the uncommon occurrence of families to arrange marriages between their houses for that very reason. 'Twas more of like a transaction than a relationship. But I knew my pa meant business when he paired me up with that orange colt. I didn't dare lost to him. Orange Dream was his name. I gotta say, he sure lived up to it. Tall, he was, with cream-colored mane and a coat, softly falling sunset. Once again, I was the talk of the town, of how loved partying my beau up and down square, watching those fillies fall over themselves, wishing they were me. Hoo-hee, it was a hoot and holler. I tell ya, I'd come down and laugh about it with my sister Apple Spice. She loved grabbing, but all them city ponies that moved to our neck in the woods, not a single one of them knew what I meant to be a working hard country pony. But it sure was fun to watch them try. What was talking about again? Oh yeah, Orange Dream. Well, the ceremony was quite extravagant. A little too much for my taste. But them oranges were always about their high hoof fluting status. I often wonder what they ought to match Orange Dream and I. And at the end was probably money. Something apples weren't used to having, and the oranges weren't used to being without. We're a blue ribbon couple, a famous zap apple farmer, and the handsome city bachelor. Why, with all the buzz about us, the news of our firstborn would reach all the way up to the princess. Or at least it would have. I never seen something so small. It never took in even a breath. I wasn't the one shy away from a good cry, but all I could do was sit and stare. I didn't think or ate or drank anything for a week. After the dream was understanding, though, I appreciate him for that. We lost it rarely enough, though, for many ponies ever knew I was a child to begin with. After a bit of time passed, we gave it another go. I was just sure this one would stick. It was a fit as a fiddle every day until it happened. Maybe that's why he didn't make his loss very well at first. He would start hollering each other, pointing who's and placing blame. Truth was, neither of us knew what was wrong. We just knew how much it hurt. I needed to do some for the second one, and I couldn't keep pushing my body to do something it just wasn't ready to do. Dream would go on and on about how his reputation was hanging in the balance and how he needed a colt to prove himself as a stallion or some nonsense. I didn't stand with him when he gets like that, so I poured myself into my work and ignored him. Well, after about a year went by, I decided it was time to swallow my pride and give it another go. Truth was, I wanted to be Ma just as badly as he wanted to be a Pa. I remember confiding my sis, Apple Spice, about how I was feeling, and Orange Dream was becoming more an orange nightmare. When she broke down sobbing, tears started wailing about this, that, and one way or another, and how she a terrible pony she had made a terrible mistake. I didn't know what that mare was getting on about until I saw her belly protruding out more than usual. I love him, I'm sorry. He came on to me and I just couldn't say no. No harsher words ever visited our harder for a sister to swallow than those. We Apples threw Spice out for that, and Dream threw himself at our mercy at the end. All was forgiven to them, at least. Seemed like my family didn't bat in his eye to identify. They needed him, you see. He was too important to shirk off on his own kin. I realized that I still expected to make it work with that spineless bastard. Celestia knows. Dream used to say that he went on around defaming my sister as a harlot to explain the pregnancy as to not so cast a doubt on us, and we were such strong couple. But what does that have to do with any of this useless prattle we do today? Well, all the dog shit took its toll, you see, and when you keep your emotions bottled up like Bubby Sire, they bound to explode. I was coming home from the market one day when I heard Dream and Spice talking in the barn. Now, mind you, I hadn't seen my sister for the intention of screaming that night in heaven. When I saw something I wish I hadn't. There he was, looking at me, like he didn't have a care in the world, with his little newborn colt, with a smile he could melt your heart. Dream had a son now, and I knew that I'd lose every thing, status, reputation, even my own home. I was scared shitless. I don't know what compelled my actions after that. Some part of my brain was screaming for me to stop doing that I was doing, but my who's just kept going forward, you see. I knew that old barn was already falling apart. We were set to destroy it as soon as we raised a new one. So we had left it in despair. There were already 2 levels, and the upper one had all of their bales and hay jammed together in a loft. I knew exactly which wood beam was load-bearing, so I picked myself up an axe and I just started hacking, you know. I don't think I even cared whether or not I lived or died. I just keep hacking away. I was a hard-working mare, so I made the job easier off of it. The beams splintered and the hay bales came tumbling down. In that moment I resolved to stay put and let the chips fall where they may. But I looked up at that sweet little innocent face. God darn it, I had a change of heart. I raced for him and I skirted out by the skin of my teeth. The whole damn barn just came crashing down. Even broke my leg on the way out. But that little one, my Big Mac, was safe. That was all that matters. So here I am all these years later, wrestling the memory of that day and trying not to let my grandchildren see me smiling. Usually I lock myself up in my room so I can amuse myself without suspicion. In a couple of minutes, I'll have to shut that memory back in the drawer somewhere and in mind and wipe this smile off my face. But for now, I can reminisce on the memory of their screams.